The Nigerian Senate has expressed concern over the recent fire outbreak and oil spill in Buguma community of Edo State in the south-south region of the country. The Senate has therefore moved to probe the incident as well as allegations by Niger Republic's military that the Nigerian government is colluding with France to destabilize the country's internal security. News Centre's National Assembly correspondent Sagir Ibrahim was at Thursday's plenary.
The Rivers lawmaker expressed displeasure over the slow response of the oil companies in the region, saying that their inaction has worsened the plight of affected residents.
Recognizes the severe consequences of this incident, including contamination of rivers, farmlands, and aquatic life, which constitute the primary source of livelihood for the residents of Buguma. The pollutants released pose significant health risks, including respiratory and waterborne diseases, and long-term effects such as cancer and organ damage.
Other lawmakers contributed to the debate, recommending additional measures for a more comprehensive response to the crisis.
The federal government should declare a national emergency program for the rebuilding, rehabilitation, and recalibration of the national onshore oil wells, flow stations, and pipeline infrastructure in Nigeria.
Urge the Ecological Management Committee and relevant agencies to ascertain cleanup costs, charges, and penalties of each and every oil spill or fire hazard and charge operators accordingly.
At the end of the deliberations, the Deputy President of the Senate, Barrow Jibrin, who presided over the day's session, referred the matter to the Senate Committees on Environment and Petroleum Upstream for further legislative action.
The major factor is the fact that we have an infrastructure that has become decayed. And the second factor is the fact that there are some level of sabotage in that. The Senate has the latitude to deal with the matter. So let me put the question. Those in favor of this prayer, please say aye. Those against say nay. Oh, the ayes have it.
Meanwhile, another motion was raised during plenary calling for an urgent investigation into allegations by Niger Republic's military ruler, Abdurrahman Tiani, that Nigeria is colluding with France to destabilize his government. Umar Shehu, representing Bauchi South in Nigeria's northeastern region, says that diplomatic relations between the two nations has now become strained following the coup d'etat that ousted Niger's civilian government.
Brigadier General Tiani also alleged plans to establish a base for Lakurawa in a forest near Gaba, Sokoto State, with operational reach extending to Sokoto, Zamfara, and Kebbi State. Additionally, he claims that foreign military bases in Nigeria are being used to target Niger's oil pipelines and create security threats.
Let us just agree that his committee be made to go and carry out whatever investigation that needs to be carried out. And the committee will present a report to us in an executive session to be discussed further by the committee of the whole.
The matter was subsequently referred to the Senate Committees on Intelligence, National Security, and Foreign Affairs for further actions.
The motion is now referred to the Committee on Intelligence and National Security, jointly with the Committee on Foreign Affairs, to report back within 4 weeks.
As the Senate awaits feedback from its joint committees, lawmakers resolved to debate the findings in an executive session due to the sensitivity of the issue. From the National Assembly, Sagir Ibrahim for News Central.
Nigeria's House of Representatives Committee on the Review of the 1999 Constitution says that it has received requests for the creation of 31 new states across various regions in the country. The Deputy Speaker of the House, Benjamin Kalu, while reading a letter from the House Committee on States Creation, says that numerous proposals have been submitted, but the constitutional requirements for their creation must be met before any new state can be approved. It says the Section 8 of the 1999 Constitution clearly outlines the procedures for state creation, with at least 2/3 of the Senate House of Representatives, state houses of assembly, and local government councils in the affected areas assenting to the request.
The committee has reviewed the proposals for the creation of new states in accordance with Section 8, Subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended. This section outlines specific requirements that must be fulfilled to initiate the process of state creation, which include the following. New state and boundaries. 1. An act of the National Assembly for the purpose of creating a new state shall only be passed if a request supported by at least 2/3 majority of members representing the area demanding the creation of the new state in each of the following, namely, the Senate and the House of Representatives, the House of Assembly in respect of the area, and the local government council in respect of the area, is received by the National Assembly.
President Bola Tinubu has announced significant leadership changes at some federal universities across the country. Part of the affected universities is the University of Abuja, recently renamed as Yakubu Gowon University, where the president dissolved the entire governing council and relieved Professor Aisha Maikudi as vice-chancellor. Senator Lanre Tedrosho, currently pro-chancellor of the University of Agriculture in Makurdi, has been appointed pro-chancellor of the Yakubu Gowon University. He will be succeeded in Makurdi by Senator Joy Emodi, the current pro-chancellor of Alvin Ikoku University of Education. To succeed Makurdi, President Tinubu appointed Professor La Patricia Manko as acting vice-chancellor at the Yakubu Gowon University for a 6-month term and will not be eligible to apply for the substantive vice-chancellor position when it becomes available. Nigeria's federal government says that it is partnering with the German Chamber of Commerce and Industry to equip young citizens with combined vocational and technical skills. Nigeria's Minister of Youth Development made this known during a courtesy visit by the German Chamber of Commerce and Industry to the ministry in the nation's capital, Abuja. Our correspondent, Joshua Imaraye, has details.
The delegation from the Friedberg German Chamber of Commerce and Industry visited Nigeria's Minister of Youth Development in Abuja to discuss youth empowerment through vocational training. The discourse, which was facilitated by Nigeria's former Minister of Information, focused on equipping young Nigerians with soft and technical skills to drive economic development.
As we delve into discussions, Your Excellency, I encourage us all to explore collaborative avenues that will make this initiative not just a reality, but a success story that will inspire hope, create opportunities, and redefine the future for our young Nigerians.
During his presentation, the president of the Friedberg German Chamber of Commerce and Industry described the dual vocational training system as a game changer for Nigerian youths.
The idea could be to invite young Nigerians who have sufficient language skill to get a free dual vocational training in Germany, because there are companies in lack of workers, and they would receive the dual vocational training, and they can be sure if they pass the exam, they will have plenty of job offers.
The Minister of Youth Development in his remark emphasized that the initiative will provide young Nigerians with essential technical and vocational skills to enhance employment opportunities.
So we are set. We are ready for this partnership. And we know that with these skills, if more Nigerian youths have at least 2 skills, we won't be where we are now.
As part of the federal government's drive to foster job creation, the minister also disclosed that the ministry is reviving 50 youth centers nationwide to provide training across various vocational fields. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarayi.
Glad you're still with us. Earlier, we told you about the proposal, the requests for the creation of about 31 states across the country. We're now joined by Victor Okai. He is a public affairs analyst to share his perspective on the state creation proposal. Thank you very much for giving us your time. I'll just not beat around the bush and ask, is this dead on arrival, or is it a viable consideration at this time in the country's history?
Well, I find it a bit laughable that that seems to be the priority of the National Assembly at a time like this. It's not to say that it's not something that has been on the, that has been considered for a while. But when you hear the number, it just tells you that everyone wants his village to be a state. Otherwise, we currently have many states that are not viable. It's so obvious that many states are not sustainable. I mean, you saw what happened with the new tax reform bill being proposed, where many states are complaining and all that. And so it just tells that a lot of these states, as are currently, as they currently stand, are not viable. And what it does mean is that, I mean, as soon as you create new states, you're going to have new state assemblies, new state assembly complexes, new commissioners. You buy cars for all of this, and it's just going to be so loaded. And this is money that should rightly go into development.
But what
so
about the argument?
I think that it's a priority right now. It's certainly not 31. 31 just simply means everyone wants to be a governor.
There is argument that
yes,
having more states will ensure that governance get a little closer to the people, and that the expected expenses is okay in light of the benefits that will bring governance closer to the people.
While I do not argue with those who say that, but I would also want to point out that if the local governments were properly strengthened, that very objective would be accomplished, because the local government is the closest to the people. If the state governments were not pilfering local government funds, and they allowed the local government chairman to use the money for development as a third tier of government, then I think that that particular objective would have been met. Yeah, well, if you say, I mean, there are some states right now where the only developed parts of those states are the capital, the capital towns, or if you like, call them capital villages or cities, and there's not much, further down as you go into those states. So I think that what we need to do is that, unfortunately, there's no political will, because every president that comes, afraid, is thinking about continuity of second term, and so they don't want to disrupt the status quo. They don't want the governors to go against them. Otherwise, I think what the current president was proposing about strengthening the local government areas and making sure that money goes directly to them would have taken care of that. I don't see why they even put it off and say it should come further. It's just a compromise that will not do anybody any good. If there must be development at the grassroots, let it be through the local government. That's why they were created.
On the off chance that there's a possibility that this idea for more states would even be considered, how feasible is the stringent legislative requirement, particularly is in the endorsement by 24 state houses of assembly? Is that even something that can be collated?
Well, it's the way, with the number I see there, it's not going to be too difficult, because it's going to be scratch my back, I scratch your back. What it simply means, therefore, is that because they have spread it so wide, or so many people are applying, nearly every region is covered, most places are covered. I mean, what you just simply need, and once you have what you call it now, I think an overwhelming majority in your state House of Assembly, and if this state House of Assembly are favored in the sense that they also have new states, then it's going to fly. you know. So it may not be impossible, but it's going to create a wieldy second tier of government.
All right, Mr. Okai, thank you so much for speaking with us. Moving on now to health matters. As a result of the challenges posed by malaria to the health and well-being of Edo State residents, Governor Okpebholo saying his administration is committed to eradicating the disease across all 18 local government areas of the state. The governor said this while inaugurating the free malaria testing, treatment and distribution of drugs ceremony at the government house in Benin City. He emphasized, like Algeria, Ivory Coast and Mauritius, his administration is resolute in combating the scourge within the state. Accompanied by his deputy and other stakeholders, the governor commended President Bola Tinubu and others for their invaluable support, which facilitated the acquisition of malaria drugs and other essential resources.
Yes, we aim to ensure 80% of pregnant women receive malaria prevention medication. 2, 95% of the people with fever for malaria. 3, reduce infant death caused by malaria to below 10%. To make this happen, malaria testing and treatment will be free at all government hospitals.
Tonight, we shine a light on a critical concern plaguing Africa's largest city, Lagos. The widespread failure of street lights has plunged roads into darkness, exposing millions of residents to heightened risk of accidents and crime. Pedestrians and drivers are forced to navigate treacherous roads, turning everyday commute into perilous journeys. New Central's correspondent Benga Aborowa delves into the heart of this issue, exploring the reasons behind this persistent problem and its far-reaching implications for the city's residents.
I'm here in Ojota, one of Lagos's busiest intersections, where non-functional streetlights leave roads dangerously dark. Behind me, drivers and pedestrians navigate blindly, increasing risk of accidents and crime. Now, as we turn off our camera lights, the pitch blackness reveals the harsh reality many Lagosians face daily. This report sheds light on the city's streetlight crisis and its impact on lives.
Lagos, Africa's largest city, a thriving economic hub and a symbol of progress. But as night falls, larger areas of this bustling metropolis are plunged into darkness. This isn't just an inconvenience, it is a crisis that's leaving millions of Lagosians vulnerable and threatening the safety and future of the city.
So at least
if I'm passing right now, I need to hide my phone to avoid area boys snatching it because of the darkness. And for several occasions, you'll be seeing when they are running. You will not even know what is chasing them because the street light is not on, it's off. But if the street light is on, you can be able to know what is happening and know where to run to.
That street light, you know, walk where. You don't cause that accident. So this is that line, that's priority line. Instead that make you put that line for that ray, you know, some people they come, they enter, cause accident.
Streetlights are a crucial component of urban infrastructure, providing safety and security for residents and businesses. The lack of functional streetlights goes beyond mere inconveniences. It is a serious safety hazard. It creates an environment where criminals can operate unchecked and accidents become a regular occurrence, putting lives at risk. Lagos State has spent millions on streetlight projects over the years, yet large sections of the city remain in the dark. Why is this happening? Why, despite the funds and promises, the streets are still in the dark? Efforts to engage Lagos State officials for their stance on the streetlight crisis have been met with silence. For many residents of Lagos, these justifications are seen as mere excuses. The harsh reality on the ground paints a different picture, one of unfulfilled promises, poor accountability, and a lack of urgency, all of which are putting lives in danger. The human cost of this streetlight crisis is undeniable. Every night, the darkness claims its toll in the form of accidents, crime, and sometimes loss of life. In the absence of light, criminals find opportunity, and innocent people are left to suffer the consequences.
We want the government to do the street lights for the masses because a lot of dangerous things happen on the way. And if the government can do it, we appreciate them.
When in the work, it helps us. Even though say no get headlamp, it can drive safety without any accident, anything for road. With the help of street lights, you can walk and do anything. I can see the person where they come from, front and back.
But there are solutions. Around the world, cities have turned to solar-powered streetlights, cost-effective, sustainable, and independent of the city's unreliable power grid. Could this be the answer to the Lagos streetlight crisis?
The issues around public infrastructure, such as street lighting, is very important to light up the state. Aside from the aesthetics landscape that streetlight is going to bring to a city of such, to a mega city such as Lagos, is also going to bring it's going to make a Lagos a desirable city also to live. And also is going to boost the economy of Lagos. And that's why stakeholder needs to come together and see some of the, what I call a multiplier benefit of street light.
Experts agree that a combination of innovation and community involvement could help turn the lights back on in Lagos. But can these solutions be implemented in time to make a real difference?
Behind me stands the Lagos State Government Secretariat, a symbol of power and promises. Yet, beyond the allowances, bright lights, darkness prevails. From Ojota to Ikoyi and beyond, the question on every Lagosian's lips is when will these promises of safer, well-lit streetlights finally come to life? I am Benga Aborowa, reporting for News Central.
Thank you for staying with us. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has outlined his government's key policy objectives and deliverables for the year ahead. In his address, President Ramaphosa noted that South Africa stands as the one united nation and would not be cowed by anyone, especially having survived its darkest days of apartheid. The speech, which is an annual event, marks an important milestone in South Africa's democratic process and demonstrates the country's robust democracy, bringing certainty to its political, social, and economic landscape.
This is the world that we, as South Africa, a developing economy, must now navigate. But we are not daunted to navigate our path through this world that constantly changes. We will not be deterred. We are, as South Africans, a resilient people, and we will not be bullied.
President Donald Trump has clarified his controversial Gaza proposal, stating that no U.S. soldiers would be required. This comes just days after announcing plans for the United States to take over and own the Gaza Strip. Trump made this assertion in an early morning post in his Truth Social platform. The initial proposal, revealed during Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's visit, sparked widespread criticism from Palestinians, Arab governments, and other world leaders. In response, Trump's administration appeared to have backtracked on the plan. Let's get some perspective. Retired career ambassador Joe Keshi and global affairs analyst Ejike Okpa joins me now for this conversation. Gentlemen, a very warm welcome. Ambassador, let me start with you. How Do Trump's comments on Gaza fit into the larger U.S. foreign policy approach on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? What does it mean for countries in Africa, specifically, especially those with strong historical ties to the Middle East?
Well, look, I've always said to people that we need to try as much as we can to understand President Trump and should I say his antics or his pronouncements. And when you do understand that, you will take quite a number of things that he said or plans to do, sometimes on the face value. I'm saying this because when you do a critical analysis of some of the policies enunciated, in his first term as president some 8 years ago, many of them, in spite of all the noises he made, were never fulfilled. And so you now have Trump again doing something similar and making some wide-ranging statements that sometimes doesn't even make sense. And a good example is the case in Gaza. What it has done is that it has, in one way or the other, united the Arab world, who are now speaking with one voice on the situation in Palestine. And there is absolutely no way, I do not envisage any way that anybody can take away or send away the people of Palestine into Jordan or into Egypt. That's a non-starter to start with. But for Trump, who likes to say sometimes outrageous things and try to implement them, and once things begin to go wrong, he abandons them and moves on to something else. But the most important thing is that I think the world should stand united, that the people of Gaza cannot be taken out of their land and handed over to Israel. Look, this is a statement, I call it, it makes me feel good because the right-wing elements, the far extreme right-wing in Israel, are so happy because they are gaining, this is what they wanted for years. And now that they have heard the pronouncement of Donald Trump, they honestly believe that their dream is very close. But the truth of the matter is that they've been doing the same thing for years. And part of the military objective of Netanyahu, because he's in bed with the right wing, it's exactly what Trump is trying to do. But look, here is the deal. After almost 2 years of trying to destroy Hamas, and in fact, claiming to destroy Hamas.
All right, Ambassador, let me just...
with Hamas.
Okay, because we're time constrained, apologies. So let me bring in Ejike up. Sir, what is your response to these comments, and how do you believe African leaders and countries should be reacting?
Well, thank you for having me. It's just a pronouncement. Anybody, tearing themselves up because of what Trump is saying, obviously don't have, a serious agenda for their own country. How is America going to take over Gaza? Everybody has to have the responsibility to manage their own affairs. The Palestinian-Israeli issues have been going on. The world is tired of it. We Americans are, the taxpayers that are standing back, users, we're tired. So if Trump said something and that's going to make the Arab world rally to, protect their own, so be it. I'm one of those proponents that the U.S. doesn't have to be the policeman of the world. Everybody now is that rules and govern any particular country is native to that particular country. It's not those days or years when you had colonial forces. They are all natives. Do something to preserve the integrity and the respect of your own people. So again, Trump has to say what Trump says. Whether that turns into a policy, whether that turns into something actionable, it is up in the air. But nobody should lose sleep over it. take care of your own if it's the African.
Losing sleep seems to. I said losing sleep seems to be. If you look at the response across the globe to his comments, it indicates that comments from a powerful leader such as Trump has some impact. So asking people to ignore it, is that the best option?
Of course, you have to ignore it until it happens. One thing is to say something, the other thing is to actually act on it. America is not led by a monarchy or a majesty. We have Mr. President, and then we have a Congress. But at the end of the day, what policy is going to enable him to do that? So maybe he just said this as a wake-up call for people in those countries, whether it's in Nigeria, in Africa, take care of your own. If you have needed to go outside of your own country to seek alliance or partnership, let it be good for you, but don't lose sleep over President of America saying something. We have our own socio-economic and political challenges, and we're going to deal with it. So Gaza has become a thorn in the flesh, and we are tired of the back and forth and the West life getting killed. So let them do something for themselves. America doesn't have to be the solution provider for the world issues.
All right, let's just wrap up with your response, Ambassador. From a humanitarian perspective, how does this comment affect global narrative surrounding the Gaza conflict? Do this statement impact Africa's stance on human rights and perhaps international law?
Yeah, of course, it does violate international law. And I didn't hear the comment of my colleague there, but the truth is that I maintain the same position that, look, I don't think people should lose sleep over it. It's a non-starter to start with, and nobody's going to take that seriously. Not the Arab world, not the international community, and not the Palestinian people. So we don't have to waste our time, because Trump says quite a number of things that certainly doesn't make sense. It's not a kind of policy thing. It's just Trump saying what he wants to say. And it's for the domestic audience of Trump supporters in Israel. It makes them feel happy. And they're happy about it. But beyond that, nothing is going to happen. Nobody is going to take away the Palestinians from where they are today. And no country in the Arab world is going to take them anyway. So it's a non-starter to, and the best thing is just to ignore it. He has said it, and Trump has moved on. There's nothing else to be said, because it's not going to happen.
Gentlemen, as always, thank you for sharing your perspective on this.
Thank you.
Business News is next after this break. Stay with us. For business news, let's now join Perpetua to tell us about the surge in investors' appetite for Nigerian treasury bills. Over to you, Perpetua.
All right, thank you. So there were 3 tenors. We had the 91-day, which was undersubscribed. The 182-day was also undersubscribed. But for the 364-day tenor, it was oversubscribed by over 500%. And that goes to show that investors are trying to lock in profit. And this, of course, is because we're still anticipating the first monetary policy meeting of the year. So they just have to lock in profit. But, of course, you get the details after this time out. Bank of Nigeria recorded strong investor demand in its latest Treasury bills auction on February 5, 2025, with the 364-day instrument attracting over 3.1 trillion naira in subscriptions against an offer of 500 billion naira. Shorter tenors saw lower demand, reflecting investor preference for higher yielding long-term securities amid economic uncertainties. Stock rates settled at 18%, 18.5%, and 20% for 91-day, 182-day, and 364-day bills, respectively. The auction underscores Nigeria's tight liquidity conditions, inflation concerns, and the government's strategy to attract funds. Over in Southern Africa, Zimbabwe's central bank has maintained its monetary policy rate at 35%, despite surging inflation driven by rising food and housing costs. The country's inflation spiked in January, affecting both US dollar and local currency transactions. Meanwhile, the Zimbabwe gold currency, introduced in April 2024 to stabilize the economy, has continued to depreciate. After a sharp devaluation in September, the ZiG has fallen further trading at 26.4 per US dollar, nearly double its launch rate of 13.6. To stock markets now, the Nigerian equities market sustained its bullish momentum for the fourth consecutive trading session this week, driven by gains in Transcorp, ATI, and Zenith Bank. Now, this brings the month-to-date and year-to-date returns to 0.9% and 2.4% respectively. Again, Access Corporation was the most traded stock by volume at 61.59 million units, while Geregu was the most traded stock by value at 8.28 billion naira. Now, let's take a look at the snapshot. From the snapshot, we see we're still maintaining the 65 trillion naira mark from yesterday, and it is 65.28 today from 65.22 yesterday. This is 105,430.15. Are we going to get to the 106,000 mark this week? Well, time will tell. We have only tomorrow to decide. And of course, it's inched up by 10 basis points, which of course is 0.1%. And now to sectoral performance. Sectoral performance was broadly positive today. For the banking sector, it's up 9 basis points. And let me just tell you a bit about this. Sentiment was mixed in the banking space because we saw marginal gains in Zenith Bank and UBA. They both provided support and they were able to offset mild declines that we saw in Access Corporation and FBN Holdings. Now for insurance, it inched up 63 basis points. For oil and gas and consumer goods, they both closed positive, with Itana and Cadbury driving gains for their respective sectors. And finally, looking at the industrial goods over there, it's inched up by a marginal 4 basis points. And that's our offering in business news tonight. I am Perpetua Fasanopita. Tonight continues.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Udoka joins me now for some sports news. Lagos providing facilities for athletes. That's a really good one, right?
Very, very true. Of course, it is for development of the sport and also picking up from the grassroots to make sure we nurture these talents to become great world beaters. I'll tell you more shortly.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
The Lagos State government on Thursday commissioned 2 major sports facilities as part of its bid to cater to the needs of its 20 million residents. The first, a newly reconstructed Olympic-sized swimming pool at Roe Park Sports Center in Yaba, features a warm-up pool, spectator stands, and other modern amenities. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu was represented by the Commissioner of Youth and Social Development, Mobolaji Ogunlende, who urged youths in the state to make use of the facility. Now, hours later, Ogunlende also commissioned a boxing gym built in partnership with the Yucateco boxing promotion at the Teslim Balogun Stadium. The gym was commissioned ahead of the start of the WBC ABU Amateur Boxing Tournament, which began in Lagos on Thursday. Now in tennis, defending champion Elena Rybakina edged out Tunisian Ons Jabeur in a deciding set tie break on Thursday to reach the semifinals of the Abu Dhabi Open. The world number 5 Bulls coach Stefano Vukov remains suspended for allegedly breaching the WTA Tour's code of conduct, defeated Jabeur 6-2, 4-6, 7-6. The 2022 Wimbledon champion will next face Switzerland's Belinda Bencic for a place in the final. And in basketball, the NBA on Thursday unveiled the uniforms and court for the 74th NBA All-Star Game on Sunday, the 16th of February in San Francisco. Drawing inspiration from the vibrant cultures of San Francisco and Oakland, the NBA All-Star Court and the 3 NBA All-Star uniforms bridge the connections between Bay Area communities and feature a color palette that pays homage to the host team, the Golden State Warriors. For the 8th consecutive year, the Jordan brand will outfit the league's stars in Sunday's game. As previously announced, the 2025 NBA All-Star Game will feature a new mini-tournament format with the 24 NBA All-Star selections divided evenly into 3 teams and the 4th team composed of the Castro Rising Stars champion. And that's a wrap on Sport Update. I am Udoka Njoko. Thank you for watching.
Edo is here with the latest entertainment story, the sad one with the demise of Columbus, I guess.
Yes, a very sad one. It was a shock to Nollywood. And yes, this is someone who has been a huge contributor to the growth of the industry and has left an indelible mark for people to follow. But I'll give you all the details shortly.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
All right, in entertainment, now the veteran Nollywood actor and TV personality Columbus Iriosaga has passed away, leaving the Nigerian movie industry in mourning. Best known for his role as Igudu in the 2001 classic Isakaba, he was also a senior lecturer at the University of Port Harcourt, Department of Theatre Arts, a native of Okrika in Rivers State. Iriosaga earned multiple prestigious awards, including honors at the African Movie Academy Awards and the African Magic Viewers' Choice Awards as well. His contribution to Nigerian cinema and theatre cemented the legacy as one of Nollywood's finest talents. The cause of his death has not yet been disclosed. And as it is, the industry mourns the loss of this great icon. Well, that's all on entertainment tonight.
Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.